Gemini.
Hello Gemini, this is your May forecast 2015, and I hope you have come through your eclipses here with a brand new sense of what is opening up for you. Now this month here, Gemini, Mercury, your ruler, is going retrograde, and it will be retrograding in your sign, meaning it's going to show up in your first house. And the first house is always personality. It's how we perceive ourselves. It's the me, myself, and I area of our chart. And this is also the area that's going out towards other people. So this is what you're going to be projecting. Out here you have Venus here in your sign too, which is absolutely beautiful. And especially for you females, it's always wonderful to have Venus in this first house of self, because it radiates that beautiful Venusian energy. You will have Venus here until that of the 8th, so enjoy it the best you can. After May 8th, it will move into your second house of money and income. And this is also an area where Venus is comfortable because it rules this area. It's the Taurian house, but it is in the sign of Cancer. So you're going to see the shift of your emotions taking place here romantically after May 8th, as you're going to be more sensitive to your values, what you feel, how you share of your inner self to your partner, and also to family, because that is what Cancer is all about. So, but as far as the financial aspect of it, you can see an upswing here. Every year, Venus spends a little time in this slice of your chart. And since it rules money, well, I see that you're going to be thinking a whole lot about your income streams, also how you can come to tweak it. So it being in the sign of Cancer, it wants to secure, okay? So I feel that something good can come your way here this month that you can actually hone in and secure for yourself. That's after May 8th. But Mercury, let's just talk a little bit about it, since it is retrograde, and will be until from May 18th or 19th, depending on where you live, and that until June 11th or 12th. And since it's in the area of the first house, well, you might find yourself going back on something you had originally thought, maybe wanting to retweak some ideas. It might be a situation that you might feel you'd like to present out to the world, and then thinking, maybe I should hang on a little bit. And that would be a good thing here, Gemini. Since it is your ruler, and it is retrograde here, it always gives us more information under a retrograde period. Because what wasn't known as we were charging ahead full force, well, we might have lost a few details along the road, and retrograde gives us the opportunity to kind of recheck, retweak it, and only in the aftermath will you see how this retrograde will behoove you, right, in a good way. So we like our retrogrades too, they're not always bad. This month here, the new moon for you, Gemini, is going to be in the 12th house. That is what we call the spiritual house. It is where we dwell within, where we connect with our higher spiritual selves and listen to what body and spirit and mind all need, because all the other 11 houses is out there in the world where our focus is on those things. But when it's in the 12th house, then it's the inner needs. So make sure that you rest up. That is what you want to do as far as your full new moon intentions this month, because you're going to feel perhaps that your energy is running a little lower than usual, and that is only because you're recharging your battery. That's a good thing. You got the Sun and Mars there, and Mars is drive, you know, your ambition, your goals, and Mars always wants to plunge ahead because it's so fiery. But when it's in the 12th house, that Piscean house ruled by water, what happens when we have water and fire together kind of steams, it fizzles, right? So if you're feeling that you haven't really been up to spiff here in April, that is because Mars has been moving through this area, but it is going to move back out into the open space of your chart here on May 13th. It will move into your sign. So, you know, especially for you, Geminis, you're going to feel that renewed power, self-esteem, and the go for it drive that you have. And I'm liking it though, because the communication is going to be really important, because Mercury is still there, right? And so I can see how you're going to be trying to find perhaps the right people to speak with, to connect with, network with. That's something you are an ace about here, Gemini. So that is great. And by this time that Mars enters your first house, Venus has already moved into your second house of income. So I'm feeling here, if you have good communications and you really sell yourself, which we do when we have Mars in that first house, well, you're selling yourself for what? Well, the values that Venus is holding here in your income sector. So you can really negotiate and do good things as long as you try to not sign anything before Mercury, once again, is direct. And that won't be before the 11th or 12th of June. So I'd at least wait to after the 12th. It's still moving through its shadow, but you should be good as long as it's after the 12th. Then we have the Sun too in that 12th house. The Sun is you, the essence of you. Rest up, meditate, do yoga, anything. Listen to great music. That's all those things that renew spirit. The full moon this month here, Gemini, is in your 6th house, and that has to do with day-to-day routines. It's how you set up your schedules. It's where we look at our diets, what we're eating, what we're not eating, and trying to regulate that. It will be illuminated, so that means the light is going to shine on exactly what you need for your diets, but also to find a healthy balance of what is too much work and where do you need to rest up. It's difficult for you, Geminis, because you're always seemingly on the go and your mind is always working, right? Now Saturn, yes, retrograde in your long-term commitment, partnership, or love-and relationship area. And Saturn will be retrograde here until June 16th in this area of the 7th house. And then after June 16th, it is going to go back into Scorpio, where it's been for, you know, the last 2.5 years. So you're going to be reworking that, but more on that on next month's forecast and how you best can work with Saturn. Right now, this month, Saturn's asking you to really look at the aspects of your interaction, your sharing, your bonding with your partner, and look at what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Maybe it's also looking at how to redo something that was set out here earlier this year, more so towards the end of last year. If there was a situation, maybe it's not healed yet, well, Saturn's giving you the opportunity to really look at that and see how you can secure it. Jupiter is in your 3rd house, and Jupiter now moving direct, Gemini, in the house that you rule, okay? Gemini rules that 3rd house of communication. So you're going to see how this is going to pick up. Some of you might find yourself on your wings flying somewhere, both either in short distance trips, you know, just maybe a weekend getaway. Some of you a little bit longer, just because Jupiter does love long distance places to visit. And of course, it's your curiosity too. You love to know about foreign people and places. The full moon will square this Jupiter here, and this is on May 3rd. So you might want to see what that's going to bring about. It's between your 6th and 3rd house, so perhaps this will put it on the map. What it is you're needing to tweak health-wise. Since Jupiter's in that third house of communication, you might be talking with somebody about where you're at and what you want to do to kind of up the level and desired goal to bring yourself back into balance, so to speak. So let's just talk about this month in general. What is it bringing? We had our eclipses. We had one there on March 20th. Then we had the lunar one there April 4th. So that kind of shut down on certain things in our lives, but it opened up new doors. And by now, I believe most of you are looking at these new doors that have opened up, new opportunity. And what are they now going to bring you? Well, you know, it takes like a full year for that eclipse to really unfold. They say within a month and a day, you should have something appear to you. And we are like nearly there now, at least for that solar eclipse. And then the lunar eclipse as well. But I'm seeing here that May is in the overall going to be a month where we need to figure things out before we make major decisions. There's so much now coming up. I feel there's options. See, there's a lot of squares. We've got a couple of oppositions going on. Actually, we've got 4 major oppositions, several squares. Now, we call them for dynamic aspects. That doesn't have to be negative. It shows busyness, that we're up and running and going. Things are happening. So that could be good stress, not just negative stress. However, if this has to do for you within the areas of major change that the eclipses can have brought on, well, then you want to ask yourself, do I really want this or do I want that? Because sometimes it's so easy just to take the leap because it's exciting, it's new, right? So let's go through the aspects so you can be a little, I won't say forewarned because it's not a negative month, but it's a month we need to pay attention. Already on the 3rd, we have Mercury and Saturn in opposition. So Saturn is, it's our mentor, so to speak. It's that guardian. It's what we have to live up to. It's karma too. And it is that sense of authority, whether it's our own inner authority or it represents somebody outside of us, whether it's a parent or it's a boss, a CEO, the government, whatever it is. Mercury and Saturn having this communication, and they're not really seeing eye to eye, or you're kind of vacillating here on the seesaw. So don't make any decision on this day. And on the 4th, well, the Sun and Jupiter comes in with a square, and so that's you. And then Jupiter is also trying to stop you a little bit, saying, are you sure you want this? Right? Jupiter wants to expand, but the Sun is like a little bit on guard, probably because of some communication or insight you got there on the 3rd, so you're holding off. But then on the 6th, I feel you'll have some validation as the Sun here trines with Pluto, which is really good. That's you. Pluto is that point of transformation. And if we're thinking the eclipses, the endings, new beginnings, well, Pluto is going to show you what you're transforming from and into, right? So here there's a good feeling on the 6th, a sense of conviction, especially because that Pluto for you is in the 8th house, the house of shared resources, the money you have with your partner, the contracts you have as far as commissions and royalties, investments and so forth, and the Sun in your 12th house. So some of this is going on behind the veil as well, but you're sensing your intuition is good. Then we continue. Now there might be a little burst of your bubble there on the 9th where you're going to get some news that's not exactly what you had hoped for. Neptune always shows us what it is we hope for in an ideal world, right? So maybe you've been reaching for this and here's the news, here pops the bubble, but okay, there's more coming in. On the 15th, we have Mars now opposing Saturn. On the 3rd, we had Mercury opposing Saturn. So here Mars, your drive, your goal, your ambition, is now being questioned by this authority of Saturn. And so Saturn's saying, which direction are you heading now, you say? Are you heading this way? Well then, where do you see yourself down the road? If you can foresee the outcome, then you can foresee the consequence. So if you're ready to take on that responsibility or that consequence, then you get a green light. If you're feeling red flags are coming up, well, then it's not quite time yet for you, right? So that's Saturn looking out for you. Not blocking you or stopping you, but just enough for you to have that thought. Do I really want this? That should be the theme of this month of May. Now on the 16th, this is the day after. Well, this is a really nice day for not just hopes and dreams, but also for romance. Venus and Neptune, they're having a beautiful trine, and that's always romantic. Money, there could be news about money, because that's Venus as well, here with Neptune. On the 22nd, though, that Venus is now going to be opposing Pluto. And when I see those two forces there together, well, it's passionate, for one. Venus knows what it wants, and Pluto wants what it wants. And so the two forces, as long as you're well balanced here in your relationship, this shouldn't really be a problem. You could just say it's going to be a very intense interaction, especially because Venus was also trine Neptune, right? So it was romantic on the 22nd, and here we have, no, on the 16th, I mean. And then here on the 22nd, Venus and Pluto are getting into it together. Now, if you're having financial difficulties with a partner, well, then this could represent a day where you don't see eye to eye. Maybe you want to place money here and your partner want to place money there. Or if you're going through a divorce, well, that could be a day where you're going to have to really work through things. Not only do we have Venus and Pluto opposing one another, but we have the Sun and Saturn opposing one another on the 23rd. This is the day after, so it's lingering. It's like the hangover from the 22nd. Now it's all about you, the Sun, and then this authority figure, whether it's your inner authority or whether it is an external one. Well, that's in opposition too. So what do? You actually try to do nothing. And that sounds strange, but let me tell you, sometimes making a choice of doing nothing is actually doing something. You're choosing not to do anything. So it is doing something. When things are at fire and at blast, and the two parties are so far apart, there is no good resolution anyway, because it's like one side is going to be unhappy about it. The best thing is to lay low, just go sub if you can. And remember too that Mercury is retrograde right now here also, you know, from the 18th there. So I would say just go with it, say that you want to think about it, and let's bring it up later on next month or something. Try to delay it best you can. On the 25th and 26th, see, both Venus and Mars are going to have squares. This is right after the oppositions here. And Venus, money or love, separation or not seeing eye to eye, that stress coming in here from Uranus, which is trying to turn things around. Because Uranus will always, you know, orbit backwards, right? So where you've been wanting to move this direction, you might see that Saturn's going to hang left on the 25th, and Mars is not too happy about it. On the 26th, it is squaring off on Neptune. And so there too seems to be a little bit of a disappointment as far as where you're trying to head. So heed the messages. Those days, between the 22nd and 26th, not easy days. This goes to our personal lives. No matter what sign we're born in, we're all going to get it, but we're going to get it in different areas of our chart. But don't forget, these energies are also going to play out on the world map as well. You know, in countries that are at unrest with each other, we might see things take place there. These 4 days are difficult. Then on the 27th, we have Mercury and Mars. They're conjunct Mercury, your ruler here, is now powered up with Mars. Mars is ready to go for it and react. So maybe you've been good about not reacting, holding back, but Mars wants to react. So you might be very quick on the trigger on the 27th due to maybe some of the oppression you're feeling. But the 29th and 31st too, we got squares. Mercury with Neptune, and then the Sun and Neptune are square as well. So once again, there's not a whole lot of resolve from what started from that very first talk there on May 3rd. So it's a month where we're working through. But the good news here, Gemini, is a lot of this has to do with a shift of things that we're leaving behind. That's what the eclipse is about. You're still in the eclipse shadow, so to speak. So we're working on shedding, and we're looking at these new opportunities also coming in. And so June, as these planets are moving away from the oppositions this month, moving away from the squares this month, well, next month it should bring us totally different aspects and transits that we can see. Is more so now we see the dawn of where we're heading. But this is essential. It's like the water between salt water and fresh water. It's neither this nor that, right? And so we're kind of like in the middle of nowhere, right? But it's essential. So that is basically what we have for you here this month. And in June, we shall see where all of this energy is now going, because you're going to have loads of energy to that first house there of yours, Gemini. So looking forward to see you then. In the meanwhile, have a great month, and thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Bye now.